Well, good morning, good afternoon. I want to welcome you to the broadcast. My name is John Mayfield, and I am broadcasting from Farmington, Missouri, where it is an absolute gorgeous day here in Southeast Missouri. I hope it's a great day where you are at, and I just want to log in a couple minutes early, and if you can tell me that you can hear me okay, you can chat in the chat box and maybe tell me where you are watching or listening from and how the weather is there or how the real estate market's doing. I will make sure that everything's being broadcast out. So if you can hear me, I'm going to go to the question. There we go. Okay, so yes, good. Kevin says he can hear me from Miami, Florida. All right. So good to hear you. Thank you, Jane. She says the market's great. All right. Bill Price is in Houston. Bill, thanks for joining us. And hope that's okay. Normally, I don't say the full name. I usually say Bill, but when I was reading the comments there, but if you have a referral for Houston, we want to make sure we send it to Bill, okay? Because he's watching us down there. So we'll use this as a networking time as well. Sean says it's a little windy in Las Vegas. Rodney's up in Detroit. He can hear me good. Great. I love the Detroit airport, Rodney. I have to be honest with you, I've never been to Detroit, but I go through Detroit a lot. I travel a lot and speak. Jay's says he can hear me loud and clear. Mark, good. Plano, Texas. Janetta, good. Thanks, Janetta. Birmingham, and that's great to Terrell. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. I love Birmingham. It's a beautiful city if you've never been there. Virginia's in Denver. We've got Austin, Texas. I'm just going to go around here. Flower Mound, Texas. I have never been there, but Tim, welcome. Thank you. DJ's down in Alabama. Laura's in San Diego. Now, there's a place that I absolutely love is San Diego. I'm looking for somebody from San Jose so I can ask everyone on the class if they know the way to San Jose. Okay, that's enough of that. But lots of people on. In fact, we have nearly 1,000 people who signed up. Thank you so much for all your kind words. And we've got people from all over the country. We're going to get started. So I do have my good friend and helper, Joe Teeter, who's with the Realtors Property Resource, and she'll be watching your comments. So if you have a question, you can type it right in the chat box. Joe should respond to you regarding your question. Unfortunately, it's a little difficult for me to be able to answer, to stop and take the questions. But at the end, hopefully we'll have some time where we can do that. I'll be honest with you up front. Sometimes I get carried away telling stories about RPR, and it's because I really like this product. I mean, I'm in the trenches like all of you who are on the call. In fact, I went and listed a house bright and early this morning, some good friends of mine, and used RPR. I always use RPR on my listing appointments, and I used the mobile app today showing them RPR, and we priced the property, I think, correctly, and I think this property will sell quickly. But I'm one of you, okay? I'm also a speaker and a trainer. I probably do more speaking and training. I was in Virginia yesterday speaking to a large group of realtors at a conference. And so I do more speaking and training, but I'm still in the trenches. I've been in real estate since 1978 at the age of 18. So you can quickly do the math. And somebody said, he must be 55, soon to be 56. And the answer is yes. But I love real estate and I love technology. I go by the business tech guy, and I teach RPR because I really believe in the product. I think it's an awesome tool, and if you're not using it, you are going to really be amazed at some of the things we can do. I hope I'm not overselling, but it's a great product, and I'm going to show you today how you can use RPR in your business. And I'm going to show you some basic tools with RPR today because this is a getting started class with RPR. But we're going to kind of go out into some deeper waters, and I'll show you some things that I'm doing with RPR that are kind of interesting and neat. And swap my displays here. I get my computer going. There we go. So you should be able to see the first PowerPoint slide. We just have a few PowerPoints that we'll go through, and then we're going to actually get right in to RPR and start using it and showing you how you can use RPR as a real estate professional. So today we're going to kind of cover what RPR is about, some basic stuff, but I always like to make you go out into the deeper end of the swimming pool. And so, I'll be there to hold your hand, but I'm going to show you some really cool things because I love to push RPR. I love to push the boundaries of RPR. And yesterday, I thought, I got an idea and I thought, I wonder if I could do that with RPR using Evernote and a free app called Sketch. And I was showing the group yesterday in Virginia, and they were kind of blown away, and I was too, because it's another interesting concept on how you can use RPR as a real estate professional. So what is RPR? A lot of people ask that question. They're like, what is it? And why do we even have this silly thing called RPR? Well, first and foremost, you need to know that RPR is owned by the National Association of Realtors, okay? It's a national database that has over 166 million parcels of property. Well, that's kind of goofy to me. I mean, what does that really mean? I told you earlier I went on a listing appointment this morning, bright and early, uh, met some folks that I've known my entire life. In fact, I went to school with this lady's son. He and I were in the same class. He and I were both born on May the 20th, 1960. And so Bill and I have been friends. We grew up, went to high school. I knew his mom and dad. I knew his brothers, his sister. They were all there today because they're getting ready to have a big sale, and they want me to sell the property. Now, Bill's mom and dad, in fact, Bill and his whole family, lived in that house their entire life. Bill and I celebrated birthday, or we had birthday parties together because we were both born on May the 20th. And rather than compete for friends to come to each other's birthday parties, he and I had many birthday parties together. They lived around the corner from where I grew up, and their parents never, ever put their house up for sale. Never was on the real estate market. I mean, I've owned a real estate office in this area and known those folks for years. So they call me and want me to come out and list the property. Well, what I mean by 166 million parcels of property in the database with RPR is that I was able to put Bill's mother's property address in RPR, pull it up on RPR, have all of the information for my listing agreement, and RPR even suggested a list price for me. It even tells me what it thinks the property might sell for. It's a concept called big data and predictive analysis, and it's here, and it's just collecting information and data about what's going on in the marketplace. And so I'm able to use RPR on a property that's never been in the MLS to get all of the information I need and to even get a suggested list price and look at comparables the computer chose for that price. That's what we mean by this database of over 166 million parcels of properties. And the really cool thing is, it's only for you and I as realtors to use. The public doesn't get to use this. You and I get to, so it's exclusively for us as realtors. And it's delivered through this constantly evolving cutting edge application. And what I mean by that is there are over 300 something, and I don't know the exact number, but there's a lot of data that's being pushed into RPR. And so you and I only have to go to one place to find out voting information, to find out foreclosure information in our county, to find out unemployment, to find out drive time. I mean, there is so much data in RPR, it's mind-boggling. And RPR goes out, gets all of this data, and brings it right into the application. And so it's a very cutting edge application. It's only for you and I, and it basically allows us to look at really in reality, or in kind of in a nutshell, it enables us to look at properties in our county that may not have ever been listed or for sale in our multiple listing service. And it says on the screen it's no additional charge to realtors. So there is no additional charge. It's included with your dues dollars, so you should use it, but the consumer and the public has no access whatsoever. And I'm not here to try to upsell you or make you buy anything extra. Everybody gets the same features. So you need to know a couple of things: that this is really a cutting edge application. There's lots of data that's being funneled into it that would take you hours to go out and look at all this data. And it's going to make your listing presentations rock. I mean that. I can go up against anybody in my marketplace because a lot of them are not using RPR. And it literally, I can upstage and do a better job than my competitors because of all the data I'm able to provide and show. So RPR is not an MLS. I mean, we have to get our information from the MLS to make RPR work. So don't think that it's a national MLS. It's not. I can only look at MLS properties in the MLSs I belong to. It is not any type of a consumer-facing business model. It's not a listing syndicator. It doesn't redistribute the information. It's not available to anyone other than realtor members of the National Association of Realtors. Now, it's a research tool. In fact, if you're not using the mobile app, write that down right now. John said, I have to download the mobile app as soon as this presentation's over, okay? Don't download it during the presentation because we're going to cover a lot of cool things. But you'll use that mobile app as much as you use your email and texting app. If you're in real estate like me and you love real estate and you're working with buyers and sellers, you will love the mobile app. Now, when I say a research tool, I mean I can go out and look up properties and get mailing addresses. Tons of things you can do in RPR. It accurately helps you price properties. Now, it's a farming and a prospecting tool. I'm going to show you something that literally nobody's doing in your marketplace unless they've been on one of my webinars. So it's a farming and a prospecting tool. It will help you impress buyers and sellers. Now, if you get nothing else out of today's webinar, I want you to listen to this, because this is what RPR is all about. I'm driving to Columbia, Missouri. I'm listening to a motivational MP3 in my car because I like to listen to audiobooks and motivational MP3s today. They used to be cassette tapes, and years ago, when I used to listen to Zig Ziglar and some of those. So I'm listening to this interview with this very famous online marketer. His name's Joe Polish. You can go Google his name. And Joe Polish was talking to this gentleman who was doing the interview with him, and Joe said this statement, and it really caught my attention. And Joe said, there's only one difference between a dollar bill and $100 bill. Now think about that. He said there's only one difference between a dollar bill and $100 bill. And I thought for a moment, and he said, it's the message. And I mean, it hit me like a ton of bricks, because I said, that's why RPR works. You see, if you go out on a listing appointment and you take 2 or 3 pages from your MLS, we use the Matrix in where I'm at near St. Louis. And we use the Matrix. It's CoreLogic. It's a great MLS program. But if I'm going up against one of my colleagues from another real estate office and they take out 2 or 3 pages of comps from the Matrix, And I go in with my iPad or my laptop, and I have an 80-page RPR CMA with heat overlays and statistics and graphs and comparables, and the ability where I've added my own notes and I'm circling and highlighting information. Guess who's going to win the listing? You are, every time. I know that because when I beat folks out and I get the listing and I'm at the kitchen table and we're typing up the listing agreement, I hear the sellers over and over say, "Man, that report you did, you put a lot of work into that thing," or that report was awesome. Those graphs. You see, it's the message you're delivering. And that's what I want to ask you. What kind of message are you delivering? You will impress buyers and sellers with your RPR reports, bar none, I'm telling you. And you will stand out at a listing presentation or with buyers or working any kind of an open house and so much more. So here's the last slide. There's actually one more after this. It says, let's get started. And then we're going to get right in and I'm going to show you how RPR works. But this is very important for you to understand. It's a thing called AVM and RVM. It's an automated valuation model and a realtor's valuation model. Now, remember I said we're in this world of big data. In fact, there was a gentleman by the name of Arthur Samuelson who worked for IBM, and Arthur developed a computer program to help that would play checkers. And Mr. Samuelson would play his computerized program he developed, and he won. In fact, he beat the computer every time. And Mr. Samuelson then said, well, this isn't any fun. So he writes a sub-program to watch the moves that are being made when he plays the checker game. Mr. Samuelson plays checkers again and he wins. He plays the machine a couple more times and he keeps winning. So he leaves the machine alone and he goes in the other room. And the computer begins to play itself with checkers. But this time it's recording all the various possible moves that can be made. So when Mr. Samuelson comes back to play checkers again, he loses. He plays the machine again, and he loses again. And what Mr. Samuelson has actually done is he's created a computer to begin to think about data and what to do with data and predict various things that may happen. It's really the beginning of what we call predictive analysis. And so this has been around for a long time, and companies have been collecting data on you and I for a long time. They just really haven't figured out what to do with it. So along comes this predictive analysis, or this ability to create what is called an automated valuation model, an AVM. It's been around a while. We all know companies that provide these AVMs. I hear it all the time. How come your house is only worth that much money on such and such website? And I have to explain to them that that's a computer that only has access to public information. But because this was becoming such a big, huge thing and people wanted this, and in fact, people pay money for it, and it's not a very accurate product or model, the National Association of Realtors said, you know what? We can develop an automated valuation model. We'll call it an RVM, or a realtor's valuation model, but we can go one step further than the competition. You see, all of the competitors who do a predictive analysis or an AVM, an automated valuation, they only have access to public data. They don't have access to our MLS. In Missouri, we're a non-disclosure state, so we do not report solds to the county courthouse. They do in St. Louis County or St. Louis City, but we don't in the rest of the state, many other parts of the state. So therefore, those automated valuation models could be, in many areas of the country, inaccurate. So the Realtors valuation model gives you the highest accuracy of any valuation product because it's using the same information they use, public data, but it can also incorporate the MLS. That is why we have RPR. It's here, and we just need to understand that that's a big part of this world called big data and predictive analysis. Okay, that's all of the PowerPoint. So I'm going to hit PowerPoint and quit. And let's go into RPR and take a look at how RPR works. I made my little mouse cursor bigger here, so hopefully you can see that. I hope that's showing up on your end of the screen. But I'm going to go through and just show you the dashboard. I have a property pulled up. I'm going to show you some of the things that I use RPR and how I use RPR. And then again, remember, Jo is in the chat box and she can help answer some questions. And by the way, I'm recording this webinar session and I will put that on my website. I'll give you information for that at the conclusion so that if you want to go watch this again, you're more than welcome to. And by the way, I tell this to every group, and I know we have several hundred people on the call. Please do not, I'm wanting to say that incorrectly. Please feel free to call me if you need more help after the session is over with, or send me an email. I am here to help you. I have lots of folks who've attended my sessions, and I want you to know that if you see something I'm doing or that I like, or you have questions, you're more than welcome to reach out to me and we'll help you with that, okay? I help many of my past students in my RPR classes, and I love to do that. So this is the main screen here, and you'll notice that I have my logo here. That is free for your office. If you're logging in and you are seeing the MLS or your association logo or the MLS logo, then I'll show you how your broker can have that branded with your own company's logo at no additional charge. It's free. There's just some paperwork that needs to be filled out. So that should be branded with your logo. You're going to see that right across the top here, we have some menus that we'll get into, and there's some sub menus up here. I want you to look at this little gear icon over on the right-hand side, because that's the first place you really want to go into, is the gear icon. And when you go into the gear icon, you can see that you could upload your logo here. You want to add your photo. These are great reports, so make sure all of your information is correct, and then you will update your information. You'll add your MLS ID information, and that way, when you print your reports out, everything's going to really stand out and look sharp and professional, and you'll be able to have a great report to give to your buyers and sellers. So that's under the gear icon right there. Now, here's the main dashboard of RPR. Probably some people are saying, well, how do I get to RPR? What's the web address? And that's a great question. It is NAR RPR, right up there. You can see NAR for National Association of Realtors, RPR for RealtorsPropertyResource.com. Many of you with your MLS, like my MLS in St. Louis, have an icon or a button that's located within our MLS. So we can just click, I can log into my MLS and I have the ability to easily go right into RPR from that. I've taught some courses down in Arkansas where they use Paragon MLS, and they've put that under the resources tab. If you're using FBS, I think they have some deep linking and some other places. So most of the MLSs have incorporated an easy access for you to get to RPR, but you can get to it from narrpr.com. And here's a little suggestion. Don't worry about logging out. I just keep mine logged in, and when I'm ready to close out, I just close the tab. That way, whenever I go to narrpr.com, I can log right in. Now, another little thing that I've done is you can actually take this icon and hold this down, and you can see that I have a place right here that I could drop that, and now I have a shortcut that's right up here. You can see I already have a shortcut, but I have a shortcut to Realtors Property Resource, and I can just click that and it will take me right to NAR RPR, and I don't have to worry about logging in. So we're at the main dashboard. Notice I have recent properties that I have. You can see here's the property I listed this morning. Here's some searches that I've done recently. All of my reports for the last 30 days are right there. And so I've got access to that very quickly. What's great is, too, if I pull a property up on my desktop computer, or my mobile phone, everything stays in sync, or on my iPad. So if I was to log into my phone right now, I see all of these recent properties, recent searches, and recent reports. In fact, it's kind of interesting. If you look here, this is where I was yesterday, and I did that search on my mobile phone, but notice it's showing up right here on my desktop. So everything stays in sync. And that's one reason I want you to download that mobile app, because it's like having your MLS right in the palm of your hand. I mean, if those of you like myself who grew up with the old MLS book, I mean, this is like you have the MLS on steroids, and you've got it at everything stays in sync, so it's really cool. So all my recent searches, recent properties, recent reports for the last 30 days are right here. In fact, even any notes I've added, you can see to properties. I've got access to all of my notes right there. So some really cool features in that respect. Now let's go up here and take a look at these two little tabs. We have what's called all properties and properties that are for sale. And I want to just point out one quick thing to you here. If we're searching all properties right here, I want you to kind of envision that you're searching the county courthouse. Okay? The folks who called me this morning, their property's not listed for sale. So I can't search there because that really mirrors the MLS. But if I select the All Properties tab, I can put in the address and it will take me right to the property. And in fact, it did. And it even told me what I might want to list that house for. Now, if we search under for sale, I want you to think, so this time we're searching for sale. I want you to think in terms of you're searching the multiple listing service. Okay. In other words, it's really mirroring what's for sale in your local MLS. Now, we have some other options here that you will notice. I can search neighborhoods, and I'm going to show you that in a second. I can search school districts. You're going to love the market activity. This is where you can do some amazing things if you're farming a subdivision or you want to build more business and become the expert in your local marketplace. We're going to definitely spend some time there. And of course, all your listings you have listed are available there as well. Now, don't forget, notice, and there's several ways I can search through here. But we also have an advanced tab out here. So I want you to keep that in mind as we go through some of these. In other words, if I wanted to search Phoenix, Arizona, now we are using Phoenix because that's where we search. That's what we have the ability to use when we're doing our national webinars. You won't have access to Phoenix, Arizona's MLS unless you were a member of their MLS. But you'll have access to your MLS that you belong to. And by the way, if you subscribe or belong to more than one MLS, you want to make sure that you set that up in the Settings tab. So add both MLSs so that when you're searching properties in the MLS, you'll be able to pull up any properties in any multiple listing service that you belong to. So I'm in Phoenix, Arizona. I want to go to Advanced. And by the way, if I come back here to Phoenix, notice I can even drill down to zip codes. Okay. And I went to Advanced and I want to uncheck active, and now I'm going to search. So I'm basically searching any bank-owned or pre-foreclosures, and that in this case here, I'm searching pending contracts. I'm going to go back to the home screen. I'm going to type in Phoenix. I'm a creative speller to P-H-O-E-N-I-X. There we go. And now we're going to go down to zip code, and I want to go to advanced. And what I meant to check, see, it brought up all the pending. I meant to uncheck non-distressed right there. And now I'm going to search, and that should pull up all of the pre-foreclosures and bank-owned homes. There's only 2 in that marketplace. So now I've been able to pull those up. And by the way, you'll love this about RPR. Everything is color coordinated. So red, it tells you over here, is a distressed property. Burgundy's pending distressed. So we can go back to the home screen. You'll notice recent searches showing up right down here. But if I want to go in and say, well, let's just open it up to the entire Phoenix, Arizona area, and I'll do advanced, and I'll make sure non-distressed is unchecked. Again, we're searching bank-owned and pre-foreclosures, and this will give me, looks like maybe I checked the active box by mistake, but we'll see. I always like to tell folks in a technology class I'm teaching when we're waiting for something like this that it's kind of like Geraldo Rivera when he opened the vault for Jimmy Hoffa's tomb, and we all, they were going to blast that wall out. And so we were watching for 2 hours to only find out there was nothing in the vault. So there are 483 properties that are bank owned or pre-foreclosure. And I can, again, look at those because of red and pending. Look at this on the down here on this side of the screen, down below. I can actually make changes right here, and now I can go in and say, I really want to look between 100 and 125 in the whole Phoenix area. And my folks need at least 5 or more bedrooms and 2 or more bathrooms because they have a large family. And again, remember, I changed this. I'm looking for any type of property. And so now all I have to do is apply, and I can update my search. So I want you to quickly and easily see that you can pull up properties and look for properties on the fly, make changes, apply, and do specific detailed searches that will help you in many, many ways. In fact, I'm going to be honest with you. I use RPR to look up properties and information for buyers and sellers more than I do my MLS because it's just easier for me. I had to show one of my listings the other day, and I quickly and easily, so here we go, there's 4 properties in Phoenix that have, between 100 and 125,000, 5+ bedrooms, 2+ baths. And look at this down here at the bottom. I can even add keywords. So if you're in an area, I'm thinking of like my good friends over at Lake of the Ozarks, and you want lakefront, you can type in the word lakefront or granite countertops. So it will search throughout RPR for that and pull only those properties up as well. I also have the ability to sort by most expensive, least expensive, year built, bedrooms. I mean, lots of choices and opportunities. So I wanted you to get a feel for basic searching and advanced searching, and that you can do that right on the main screen, or you can do it from the left-hand side after you've populated your search results. You can also search by zip code. So if I want to search in my zip code, it's asking me, is that Farmington, Missouri? Yes, it is. Now it's also saying, is that a property? Notice this is a new feature we have in RPR that I really like is that it will, because I'm under for sale, which is mirroring the MLS, all you have to do is type the first few numbers of the street address, and RPR is looking through your active MLS to see if there are any properties that begin with those numbers. So you'll notice that all of these property, if I was looking for a home on Gary and I knew that it was 636 something, I could type in that 636 and it would, as I went into 4, it's looking and it says there's a 6364 East Gary that's listed in Mesa, Arizona. Is that what you want? Well, I just want to look up the zip code so I can search by zip code. I can also search by city. I can search by county. So if I type in ST, I can go down and begin to search by county, and notice it says, did you mean St. Francis County, Missouri or Arkansas? And so you can search by county. Today, what I did was I typed in the address of the property. I went to advanced and I went right down here and I typed in, I was under all properties, pardon me. You have to do this under all properties, but I typed in the address and I typed in the name of the person right there. I had someone one time in a class I was teaching and showing RPR, and she said, I can't find my property. This was a rural area, and she said, I can't find my property, and what's going on? So what we did was we put her property address in, and then we put her last name, and boom, she came right up. Of course, we want to clear this search because we had all of these in there. So lots of features to search by. You can notice you can search by various condos and various items in that respect. And you can search by MLS number. You can search by township, just a lot of different things that you can search for. Mainly, you're going to use street address, city, zip code, and so forth. Now, I can also search by a neighborhood. And here's where I searched by neighborhood. I typed in Phoenix, Arizona, and look at some of the things that you get when you search by neighborhood. Remember when I said there's literally over 300 and something pieces of information or data that's being put into this? Look at all of this data that you're getting for your area. So now I'm able to scroll down and look at the kinds of information I'm able to get. If you wanted, some of you have Facebook business pages you're never doing anything with. And so let me show you an interesting tool that you can use. I told you I wanted to take you out into some deeper waters. I use a tool called Snagit. And with Snagit, I can literally, we're going to close this, and I'm going to minimize this. And with Snagit, I could go out and I can snag a piece of information about my marketplace, take a picture of it, and now I can go up here to share and share that on Twitter and Facebook. And I definitely want to be able to put information in there on where I got the information, that I got that from Realtors Property Resource, the date. In other words, you want to make sure that you cite the reference and the date and the other information. But now you have the ability to really go out and get some cool data. So, put that on your Facebook business page. Use something like Snagit, and right there, if I just wanted to create that, and I'm trying to make sure my logo's in there, but I can tell people what's going on in the marketplace and do some really creative things. In fact, you could do this. You can create your graphics, and literally, I use a green screen. You could actually be like a weather forecaster, but you're the real estate professional going over the local market data and statistics in your marketplace. And what does that do in the eyes of the consumer? They see you providing information about what's happening in the marketplace. All of a sudden, you're the go-to person for real estate in your zip code. It's called the law of fundamental attribution error. Perception is reality. You can read about it in Malcolm Gladwell's book, The Tipping Point, and it really does work. So look at this. I've got all of this information here. That's just the first tab. If I close that, I now have all kinds of housing information on the second tab. Now I have information about the people. In fact, I can even tell you that 54.3% of the people vote Republican in that zip code or that area, and 43.6% vote Democrat. Where did I get that? And by the way, everything's footnoted. So wherever RPR gives you data or a chart or statistic, they tell you where they got that information and how often that information is updated. So now I have information about the people, I have information about the economy, and I have information about quality of life. Now, I just updated my information this week. So if you go out to, I'm going to go out to my website. Again, I do enough real estate because I want to be in the trenches and I want to know what my customers are going through as I go around and speak. But here is a magazine. This is what the report looks like, the neighborhood report. And look at this. I now have a report on my website for every one of my communities. I can share this via Facebook or Twitter. I have a QR code that's created. I can copy this if I want to, put it on LinkedIn. These are great reports that you could share with Chamber of Commerce's, human resource managers who are recruiting people to come to work for them from outside your area. These are great reports for you to give to people who are relocating into your community that you're getting ready to work with, or to have at an open house. And by the way, because I've saved this in RPR, I now have what? It's also saved and linked to my phone. It'll stay there for like 30 days. But I just updated all of my communities here the other day. So that's a little program I'm using from a company called Flip Builder. Again, feel free to send me an email for any of this information. But it's just a way where I'm actually taking RPR and I'm going out and I'm using that to really push the boundaries and do some interesting things with RPR. And don't forget, if you had somebody today who said, you go out and list their home and they said, yeah, we've been relocated, we're transferred, and we're going to Casper, Wyoming, you have access to any neighborhood in the United States. So select neighborhoods, type in Casper, Wyoming should come up, and now go up here. We'll do the search first. And once it pulls up Casper, Wyoming, go up to reports, go down to neighborhood and run that report. And now you can email that or take that with you and give that to your customer and show them and provide some information of Casper, Wyoming, where they're getting ready to move to. And by the way, that's going to disappear. It'll let me know when it's done and I can go on and work in RPR. Now we're over in RPR. I did a search in Phoenix, Arizona. There's 7,933 properties. Remember, I'm searching properties for sale. And when I search the for sale tab, it's mirroring what? Good. I heard several people out there say MLS. Good. I would give you all free Starbucks coffee if you were right here with me, but you did a good job. And so for sale mirrors the MLS. All properties mirrors the good. I heard you say courthouse. So I searched for sale mirroring the MLS, get these properties. I can sort those by an array of options here. Okay. If I want to do recently updated, I can do that. Remember, everything's color coordinated. So light blue is for sale. Dark blue, sale pending. It'll tell you if you have multiple properties that show up, the various properties. Now, I went over and I found a property that I wanted to pull up at 714 East Coronado Road in Phoenix, Arizona. Interesting thing here, it's listed for 298.5, but the current RVM's 257,780. Remember, the RVM is the Realtors valuation model. It's a computer telling us it thinks it's worth 257,000. The problem is it's a computer, okay? It doesn't know if these people have, um, you know, 22 cats living inside the house, or it doesn't know the condition of the inside of the house. It just knows things like square footage. It knows things like it was in this location and various things about the property. And so it takes all the data and it puts it in an algorithm and it says, here's what we think it's worth. Recently, I went out to list a house. And by the way, here's what I do. I just listed a $350,000 house recently in my area because I advertise and send out expired letters and do some creative marketing about RPR as a new pricing tool from the National Realtors. And if you'd like to have a free evaluation on what your house is worth using RPR, give me a call. I had some people that wanted me to come out and look at their house. When I pulled it up in RPR, it told me the house was worth around 101 to 101,000 some change, which could be in that neighborhood. It could be anywhere from 100 to 140. I mean, depending. When I got to the house and went inside, that house was spotless. They had updated the bathrooms. They had done some really cool things. When I got through making the adjustments, because RPR is going to let me use my experience and my knowledge, that value came up to about $125,000. And I would feel very confident listing that house at 125. So I'm telling you that to say, this house is listed for 298. The computer doesn't know. This house could be totally renovated. That market could be very hot right now. And so that price might, in fact, be a good list price. We won't know till we get in and start doing some work. Notice that we have a 5-star confidence level. Now, what that means is this. RPR is stating, if you look at all of the consumer pricing models, all of the available consumer pricing models, and you look at our pricing model, RPRs, we feel like this house will sell within 10% up or down of 257. In other words, the computer feels pretty confident that it's kind of really saying, you know what, we're not the only computer that's saying this house is worth 257. All the other computer models are coming up with that same price range within a 10% margin. So this is kind of an interesting fact for us to know that it's a 5-star rating. We can see what's going on in the last month with the RVM. It's really jumped up a lot in the last month. In the last 12 months, we can see some information there. We also have the ability over here on the right to go into what's called the bigger map. And look at this feature here. Now I'm going to try to make that a little smaller for you so you can see it. But here's the bigger map, and look at this. I now have right here's my subject property where the hand is, or right there. Now over here, there's a property that's sold right there, and I can look at that. 225. Here's a house that's for sale down the road. Here's another house that's sold for 276. So I'm able to really look at everything that's going on in the marketplace. In fact, I can go in and look at this in a Google view. I can drill down if I want to drill down a little closer, or I can zoom out if I want to do that. Now, I also have the ability, if you'll look down here, to go into what are called heat maps. And I love this because now I can look and see what's going on in relation to this house and the market. And everything again is color coordinated. So here's the yellow, here's our subject property, and you'll notice property values are increasing in that area. Now, if our subject property was down here in the red, what's it tell us? Property values are declining. I had a lady one time. Now you may not have people like this in your area. I don't know if you do or not, but I had a lady one time who got really upset with me when I told her what I thought her house was worth. Do you have those kind of folks in your marketplace? I'm sure you probably do. She didn't like what I had to say. And that was okay. After 37 years of being in the business, I finally learned it's okay to turn away business and to say no. And so um, she's saying, I just bought this house and you are telling me that it's gone down in value. And I pulled this map up and her house was, let's say here, this entire map looked like a big severe thunderstorm in red that was moving across, and she was right in the middle of it. And when I showed her this map and I showed her what was going on in the marketplace, she said, I get it and I understand. And I told her, I said, this is what I'm up against right now. Now, remember, everything's footnoted, so it tells you where they're getting the source for this information. I can even go here and look at flood zones. And so if we want to see if this property's in a flood zone, I can check. Looks like there's a flood zone over here, but it looks like where I'm at, it's okay. And again, you want to know, where did they get that information? From FEMA. Everything's footnoted. Some of you will have some additional maps depending on the size of the community you're in. For me, in a smaller community, I'll be honest with you, the 12-month change in estimated value probably is the one I use the most, and flood zones if I'm worried about a flood zone. But some of these others might be more applicable if you were in a larger community or a larger subdivision where there was a lot of data and a lot of houses in that subdivision. But for many of us, there's a few of these that'll work good, but just take a look at them. And you can do things like drive time. So if you have someone that has to be within 15 minutes of a location of a house, a buyer, you can change that and look at drive time. I have a fireman that you can put the map where the fire department is, and he has to be within 5 miles of the firehouse. I can search by that. So I have that. I have tons of geographies. I can search by school districts. As I begin to zoom in, you'll notice I have additional options that I can search by here. So you've got some really cool heat overlays. And let me show you this one feature that I think is really a cool thing that you can do. We're going to go into Polygon right here, and I'm going to put a map, a point here, and I'm just very quickly doing this, and I'm pretending this is a subdivision that I want to work. Now, you can search this area right here, or I can edit the area if I need to bring that map out a little bit. I could raise that up. And so now I'm going to finish editing, and I'm going to save this, and I'm going to call this RPR Estates. Okay, so I selected save. Now let's go out to the home screen and notice I have all of my saved searches, properties I've saved, searches I've saved. I also have a custom area, RPR Estates. See this? And I'm going to pull up this property. This is that area we just drew a circle around. We drew around. It's a subdivision. There's 334 properties. I'm going to go up to Reports, and I'm on Market Activity Report. I'm going to go to More Details. I want to keep that the last month. It will default to having everything checkmarked. I like to uncheck Open House and Expired. And now I'm going to run the report. Now, what have I just done? I've gone into a subdivision and I've created a specific property monthly report for what's going on in that subdivision. Now I can take that report, put it in a Dropbox if I want to, put that or anywhere else, link that to my website. I can send postcards out to the folks in that neighborhood and say, the recent information for your subdivision is now available at mayfieldre.com/RPR Estates. When they type in mayfieldre.com/RPR Estates, they go right to a page where you can use Flip Builder, like I showed you a minute ago, a digital magazine that they could download, share on Facebook and Twitter. Or you could do a green screen and a video, a welcome video saying, "Hi, it's John Mayfield. Thanks for visiting my website. I have the latest monthly statistics available for your subdivision. You can download the report right below this video. And by the way, if you're thinking about buying or selling real estate, I'd love to come out and tell you what your home is worth using the new RPR pricing model." So now you're able to generate and use RPR, a free tool to go out and to be able to get business. Now it's still generating, but you're going to get a really nice report. This is the Casper, Wyoming report we did with your picture and your information. And you're going to have, in this case, it'll be information about that specific area that you drew on the map. So when that's ready, we'll come back out and take a look at it. But you can see that I now created a generic report. So if we go back to this property here, I'm just going to go back to the summary page. I've got access to all the photos, the listing information. Look at this. This is one of my favorite tools. I can compare historical data. So if this property was in the MLS at any point in time, and it was in 07, it was also in 06, I can now, if the photos were there, they would show up, look at all of the information comparing this from the MLS. It's right there. I can see that Jason has it listed today. Richard had it listed back then. And so if I want to go look at it in 2007, I can look at it at that point and again, look at all the information. So that's over here on the right. As I scroll down, I have information about the city. I wish I had time to show you about adding notes and photos and, of course, the seller's proceeds, but just check this out. There is tons of information we're adding. The other day, I was getting a property flyer because up here under reports, the property flyer I think is really cool. And I had an old picture that I needed to update, and I had taken a new picture. And so what I did was I went into my property, back over here on where we're at. I went into my property and I changed the picture right there. So I just added a photo. I uploaded a photo, and once I uploaded the photo, I made that the cover photo and my flyer printed out. I have mailing it. Remember a research tool? You see a house that's empty, you're wanting to find out who owns that. You have the mailing information right there. So if they live out of town, you now can update your records and get all of that. Lots of information from the county, the MLS. You can make changes on your own, and whatever you change stays in your RPR. I can add notes. I do that all the time. This little graph has been my best friend right here. It's called median estimated home value. I like to uncheck the county and uncheck the state, because what I'm trying to do is look at my property, the gold line, versus the median estimated home value. Now, this is a good point for me to explain to the seller that most people in our zip code are down here. So don't be discouraged if I'm not showing your house a lot, because we're a little bit higher than the median estimated home value in our market. I had a some folks up here, the very top end, and the median's down here. And I was trying to explain to them, if I bring you an offer, you need to ask me, where do we sign? I jokingly say that. That's what I was trying to encourage to them. But, I was trying to say, don't be mad if I don't show your house, because you're way up there in this marketplace. You've overbuilt, right? It's called the law of diminishing returns. I remembered that from college 30 something years ago. The law of diminishing returns. You put more money into your property than you're going to ever get back out of it. Price change history, listing details, location, legal. What's funny is I have the legal, I can even download the plat map in Phoenix. Now, most areas don't have that, but you'll have that before long. There's all the mortgage records, tax information. I have a walkability score in here. I mean, right there, there is tons of information, and that's just the first tab. We can go over to the history tab, and look, the other day, I'm in our MLS, I wanted to look up a property that had sold several years ago. And in the matrix, you have to go in and you have to put greater than, it's a nightmare for me. I just went to RPR, jumped on the history tab, and clicked MLS records. And boom, I had all of my MLS sold data right there. Now, I can't do that in my MLS that quickly and that efficiently and have all the information right in front of me. So, there's another example of how I'm using it. Tax assessment information, mortgage records, if it was distressed. Now I can go over to the charts tab, and there's more charts and information that, just tons of information. But here's the best feature of all. Remember, I said this is a computer, and I know it's 1 o'clock, and I'll wrap up here in just a couple of minutes. We're almost done. Remember that I said this is a computer. You get to go in and refine the value. So the folks I told you about that had the really nice home, they remodeled their bathroom. I was able to go in and put May, and I was able to put the year they did that and the cost. And guess what RPR did? It added value, and it took in the depreciation factors, and I was able to share that with my folks, that I'm giving them value for the repairs they've done to their home. And I'm able to make adjustments based on the home's condition. So now I'm able to go and use these slider bars based on my visual inspection and my information, and RPR is doing the calculations. Now I just go over to comp analysis. I confirm the facts. 9 times out of 10, you'll confirm the facts, and now you find the comps. Leave everything alone here. RPR has this set, but if you need to go and search by keywords or search within the last 12 months or expand the view of the search, you can do that. But in your first go round, I would see what you come up with. And then pick your comps out. Now you're going to go through and painstakingly look for these. The blue stars mean that was used with the RVM. Now I find comps I want to use. Again, you're going to do this a little slower. I find some actives and pendings. And now I'm going to go down and update the valuation and close. And here I can adjust my comps. And a couple of features I like here, you can make the photos bigger. If I think this is the best comp, I can put that in the first position. I can come down here and I can add notes. And this is where I do a lot of highlighting and information, because I know some of these properties and I want to be able to explain to my customer, future client, why I rated these. And I can say, this house was better, this house was worse, that was the same. And now I update the valuation and close. At this point, I'm able to edit my report and put my own numbers in, or I can leave those numbers and print the report. And here's where you're going to do your seller's report. It's 85 pages or so. And some people say, well, I'd never take an 85-page report to a listing presentation. And you know what? I might, depending on the type of property and how bad I wanted to list it, but generally I don't either. And I don't go through 85 pages. But what I do is I run this report, and now I have this available on my laptop or my iPad, and I go out and I go through the 2 or 3 comps and the 2 or 3 graphs or charts, and I show them what I've done, and then I take my iPhone out and I pull up my RPR app and I shoot or email them a copy of the report when I'm done. And they can print the report out or look at it on their computer. But now I have the ability to create a report that helps me do what? Deliver a $100 bill message. So you have tons of reports. Some of these, you have a mini report that's good for open houses. I wish I could just show you so many more things that I'm doing with RPR. We have a commercial. There's lots of information there. There's even the ability to go in and do what's called the property analysis for investors. And so we can run scenarios on rates of return if we want to for this property here. So I've got to put some generic information in, but I have the ability to do that. And of course, you have the little icon here where you can go out and get more training on RPR and find out more information about RPR right there. So if you're a broker, you want to go down here, and this is where you'll download the Get Started with Broker toolset, and that'll get your logo loaded up. I wanted to show you that. If you're an MLS association, here's your information. If you're an agent, you can get lots of training there. And also, don't forget at the very bottom of RPR, you have a toll-free number that you can get help 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's in Nebraska, and you can even live chat. They do a great job. You can go to the blog there as well. And let me put my website up. If you need to contact me and you want a copy of this recording, you can send me an email to john@businesstechguy.com. My website is businesstechguy.com. I do some 2-minute tech tips. You're welcome to sign up for that are free, and I do a lot of RPR stuff. But down at the bottom, by the way, if you want to send me a message, just use this little feature right here, which is you can even instant message me. But there's my phone number, my email address. Feel free to email me if you have more questions or need more help. But I hope this was helpful. I went 6 minutes over. I am so sorry, but I just get excited about RPR. I think it's a great tool, and I hope that you find it as resourceful and as helpful as I find it to be for me. So you've been a great group. Thank you so much. Again, reach out to me if you have more questions or need help, but use it. It's a great tool, and it will help you deliver a $100 bill message every time. Have a great day, and more than anything, I hope you go out and sell something today or get a great listing. Talk to you soon.